What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 87. It's been a few weeks since we've been on the mic, Dylan. We took a break. You went on vacation. How was vacation, bud?
It was short-lived, but it was fun. I think I was more active on vacation than staying at home. These kids had me all over the place.
I guarantee it. And I get a little bit of taste of that this weekend, heading up to Lake Michigan, in our favorite little spot up in South Haven. Get away for a few days. Boy goes back to school the week after that, so we're going to try to take him and have some fun with him before he heads back to school. But this week we got John Ruiz from Crimson Trail. What's going on, dude?
What's up, brother? How you guys doing?
Great, man. I think I've had everybody on from Crimson Trail now.
Yeah, not everybody. We tend to grow,
Close,
but yeah. I'm the last. I might be the last editor. I can't remember if you had Wenzel on or not.
No, I haven't had Wenzel on.
No, okay, yeah. So he's the last editor, but man, good luck catching up with that guy. He's in and out of DC, and he's big time. He's Brian big time. So good luck with that.
That's awesome. Well, buddy, for somebody that doesn't know you, introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, my name is John Ruiz, and I am one of the editors. Like I say, like we have 4 now on Crimson Trail. As you guys know, that I'm not going to beat that dead horse to death, but Brett's had Dylan's had a few other guys on there. Just a passionate team of men and women, and now youth hunters as well. And even our youth hunters are taking up the film bug as well. So. My son, he loves the camera, and Victor's kids, they love the camera too. So we just enjoy creating stories in a different aspect, and we're glad you guys like to watch them.
Absolutely. We couldn't, when you hit me up, I was like, I'd already thought about at some point having you on, and then to what you went with when you messaged me, and what we're going to get into here in a little bit, I was like, perfect timing to have him on. We kind of didn't have anybody lined up for the next few weeks. I'm like, this is perfect. We'll have him on. We'll talk about your video coming up that's going to be released this Friday on Carbon TV. But my next question is, how did you yourself get into the outdoors?
Well, I myself got into hunting late. I don't have your traditional path into the outdoor space or to the hunting space. My wife actually introduced me into hunting. Her family is from hunters, so they've hunted all their lives. My wife shot competition, competitive bows as a youth, as a young adult as well, and tore the lady circuit up. So she actually got me my first bow. Her father-in-law took me hunting, my father-in-law, Jerry, took me hunting for the first time, bought me my first muzzle loader, taught me how to shoot archery as well. We always did bow shoots with his daughter, and who then obviously became my wife. So I just kind of got into it late. Heck, I don't even think I got into hunting until I was 23, I think. So about 22, I think is what it was. Been hunting for a little over 20 years now. So give away my age. I'm 43. A lot of people say I don't look it, but hey,
no,
I'll
you
take
don't look
that.
43 for sure.
I'll take it. But yeah, I got into it late, and just got ate up with it like everybody else. When you get into it and it gets in your blood, as you can see, it does. It gets in your blood. That's all I can say. So
I would say that's becoming more of a common thing than most people think. I run into people all the time that say, I didn't get into it until later on in life. I met my spouse. Her family was into it. I hear that quite a bit
really?
Now compared to, I grew up with it. You do run into that quite a bit, but I am running into the onset adult hunter compared to a lot of other things nowadays. I don't know if that's a social media thing. Obviously not in your story, but I hear that quite a bit.
One thing I'm kind of proud of, I guess you would say, is that as you get into this hunting thing, a lot of people they realize the percentage of people in America, the numbers go down every year. And I think they said, I don't even remember, the percentages are all over the place. It might be like 6% or 5%, it might be less than that now, of people that actually hunt in America. And out of that percentage, there's only 7 to 8% of Latino American minorities out of that percentage that actually are hunters. So it's something that, I take pride in. And then there's a lot of some of my Latino friends are the same way. They're all, oh man, I can't believe you're out there doing that. And then now they want to go, you know what I mean? So hopefully, I got a good buddy, Dan, who He's in the Army, and I got some cool B-roll of him. He's doing airborne school, trying to jump out of Chinooks and stuff like that. We're going to try to film him and get him on a deer this year for his very first deer. I mean, as you can imagine, he's in the military, so he's got plenty of weapons. He doesn't shoot a bow or anything, but we're going to take him out with one of his ARs and try to make that story happen. So that would be kind of a fun thing. So not only is he, military, he's Latino, and hopefully we can get him his first deer. So that's kind of a goal of mine this year.
That's awesome. That's a good goal to have. I love getting new people involved, and especially when you get to film those new people do stuff and capture those reactions and stuff. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would rather do that at this point than hunt myself. Like, I would 100% rather film somebody and take somebody else out than go myself. Like, I think I went through that. They have like the 4 stages of hunter. I'm sure if you guys have ever read any articles, they'll mention the 4 stages of hunters and stuff. And I'm already at that point 20 years later to where I'm ready to pass all that stuff on to the next generation or take new people. That's just where I'm at in that, that life. So
definitely. Talk about Foxtail Media. How did you come up with the name Foxtail Media?
So Foxtail Media, Foxtail is actually my private drive. And that's the name of my lane. And we always have foxes out here. I mean, there's sets of twins out here. We got all kinds of wildlife out here. But when I started like a media company, I call it, it's not really a company. I mean, I have made professional commercials, and I have had, some larger outdoor industry companies paid me to make reels and things of that nature. So I have used that umbrella of the name Foxtail Media as a profitable source of income at times, but it's nothing I push. It's nothing I do that. So we just kind of all have our own media source. So that way people can kind of individualize every one of our editors on Crimson Trail. Kind of everybody has their own little flavor, and the namesake kind of hopefully correlates to, your flavor of edit. So that's it.
For sure. What about, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse by any means, but how did you get hooked up with Victor and them guys and become a part of Crimson Trail?
So originally I started the little thing called, it was the Indiana Outdoorsman. Oh, how original, right? So I started that, and then I met, as I started getting into filming, like I say, I started first filming. I think my first bow kill that I filmed was on a doe, and that was like in 2004. And then, that's about the time when all like these field staffs and whatnot really started popping off, where it went from pro staff marketing to field staff or ambassador. That's a whole nother,
that's a whole nother
topic. But at any rate, I got into there and met Victor via Fourth Arrow. And, we just became instant friends. I don't know. We met at ATA, like the first year Fourth Arrow was there. Fourth Arrow has always been like family to us. Absolutely love those guys, the family and everything, what they're about. And we just bonded over that, and we always stayed in touch. We hooked up for hunts, and then, one thing led to another. I kind of stepped away from my Indiana Outdoorsman stuff and joined in with another set of guys. And they just had a different vision than what I did. So I stepped away, and me and Victor were talking, and he's like, dude, just get over here already. You know what I mean? So I've been with Crimson ever since. And, those guys are like, they've always been brothers. That's just that's where God's always wanted me to be. So that's where I'm at. So
that's awesome. That kind of brings me back into a conversation that me and Dylan were having this morning. We want to grow Blue River bow hunting as much as humanly possible. And when you find that person that just fits that mold that you want in your small circle, like, it just makes sense. Like when me and Dylan started talking and we did the turkey hunt in Tennessee and stuff, it's like, dude, I know you're not close to where I'm at, but like you got to hop in with us and host a podcast with me and do stuff, because it just made sense. We flowed well together, even when we were filming, which that can be tough. Yep. He hadn't been on camera a whole lot, but Dylan, it didn't look like you hadn't been on camera a whole lot, because it flowed pretty good.
Yeah. And we were all over the place. So if we would have, it was opening day, we were both pumped up. I was trying to show him how we do things here, and we had birds, and that, sometimes it takes second, and it was fun. It's got me, I broke out. I've got a Nikon, and then I've got a camcorder. I bought it all like a long time ago to get into the self video, and then with moves and kids, and as much as I've got going on, I never was able to really dip my toes in it. But after him coming down and showing me, and that I think people get this, like a haze around that. It's just so hard to do, right? Like it's almost impossible. I'm going to be lugging 2 more backpacks through the woods. I'm going to be doing all this stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, he was set up within 2 minutes, ready to rock and roll. And if we needed to move, he was right on my tail. So it kind of opened my eyes to let me know that, hey, it's very doable,
Well, Dylan, you don't want to get into what I do then, because it's not that simple. Yeah, you get to a specific level and a specific, experience level, and you don't want it to look any way but a specific way. And in order to attain that, it's a hell of a lot of work. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of work in the tree stand. It's actually pretty ridiculous. And there's times where I'm just like everybody else. I get tired of it. I'm like, I'm not taking, I take multiple rigs to the stand. I'm like, I'm not even taking any. I'm just taking my bow. That's it,
Oh, shoot.
That's when you kill one.
Yeah.
In the ass. So,
how did you really get into filming? Like, talk about your first getting your feet wet and your trials and all that kind of stuff when you first started filming.
I'm just like everybody else. You see all the monster buck video, my father-in-law, monster buck videos, you know what I mean? So I just got into that, and I'm like, oh, I can do that. I've always had an affinity for photography and stuff anyway in the past, and I'm like, oh, I could get into that. So for Christmas, after my wife, our first year of marriage, she bought me a Panasonic VVX, whatever, little handycam style thing, and that's just kind of how I got into it. It sucked in low light. But it was better than the Sony little handy cams at the time. So I just got into that. And really for no other reason other than, I saw the stuff for Fourth Arrow, and I was like, man, I could get that, and I could probably do that. So I just went out and just to see what I could film, and that's it. And that right there, I think is where people dub the name self-filming. And to expand on that for a second, I think there's different parts of somebody who self-films and where they're at. I have this saying, and I may be the only person that has this saying, but I prefer to be called a self-videographer, because at the point when I was running the little handy cams and stuff, that was I was a self-filmer. That was more of a YouTube style, if you will. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Even to this day, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I prefer now to be called a self-videographer, because I look at things from a different point of view. I know the shots I want to get. I have a whole note section of shot lists that I want to make, what camera angle I want to take, what lens I want to use for that shot. I have it all, written down. So that far, goes beyond, your normal self-filmer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's why I always call self-videography. It's that next level of filmmaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely can tell with, it's not even just you too, it's everybody on your team. Yeah. You guys are next level when it comes to videoing deer, turkey, whatever, coyotes, whatever you guys are chasing. Yeah. You guys are killing it. So sometimes, it's just me and my cameras that go out there and film. I don't really necessarily have a list or anything like that, which probably shows when I go to put my videos together.
That just shows where you're at. You know what I mean? It shows if you want to grow into that, you're able to grow into that, which is, like I say, I'm not trying to knock nobody.
No. I'm not
I've been there and I still get there. There's times where I take a GoPro out, or times I don't, and I'm like, dang it. My Illinois buck that's behind me, I knew I was only going to be able to kill this deer if I didn't bring a camera rig. I knew, and I even said that in the film. I was but at the time I wasn't thinking, man, I should just brought the dang GoPro, and then then at least I would have captured it. At 10 yards on the ground, I would have captured it, and it would have looked pretty good with a GoPro, at 10 yards. Right. But sometimes there's nothing wrong with just taking that rig out and doing what you do. That's it.
I've had plenty of opportunities in the last couple of years where I get out of the truck, I start getting ready, and it's like, man, I just don't feel like messing with this today. I call it going back to normal.
Yeah.
And then that's when I always see the biggest one, or I shoot one or whatever, which didn't really happen for me last year, thank God, because I took it every time. I just buckled down, got after it. But that kind of goes back to, and like, I love filming other people, just like you said. They get to hunt, they get to experience everything they're normally going to get to do in that situation, and your only job is to capture it all, which can be very difficult at times, for sure.
Correct. And there's different styles to that. Like, another thing that I always talk about with the guys on the team, and then I push, is like for us personally, and like I say, I hope nobody takes offense to this, but for us, and me especially, I push another phrase called, do you want to be a storyteller or a story talker? Okay.
Right.
To me, a storyteller is somebody who films somebody and just documents it, captures it from various any kind of cinematic angle. Now, a story talker is somebody who will look at the camera and tell you everything you're about to watch, everything that's about to go down, how their butt's feeling in the stand, temperature, da-da-da-da-da. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's two totally different styles of film, whether it's in the outdoor space or not. Like, that's just like, we're real big on, are you a storyteller? Are you a story talker? And if you start there, you can develop your own craft on, I want to be in this lane as a story talker. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Hell, guys, they make all kinds of money on YouTube being story talkers. If that's what you want to do, great, have at it. You know what I mean? For me, I'd like to be a storyteller. I like to be able to tell a story without telling you anything about the story. I want the story. When you go watch a movie, the actor doesn't sit there and say, hey, he don't tell you where the hell he's at. He don't tell you what's going on. You just have to get all the visual cues, all the sounds in order to figure out what's going on in the story. And that's always my goal, is to do that. So at any rate.
For sure. And like we were talking the other day, if I stumble upon a YouTube video and I'm watching, and that's all they do is talk for 10 minutes on them driving down the road, I turn it off.
Yeah,
I know some people like that, but I personally don't like that. And we can get to, we can talk a little bit about, links of stuff too. We're kind of in that generation right now with like the TikTok and the YouTube shorts and that sort of thing. Everybody likes short and quick and simple, which is kind of where I'm trying to be on our YouTube stuff. Like, not like super short where you don't really get some of that storytelling like you were talking about, but like I still want to keep it somewhat short, because you get anywhere past 10, 15 minutes, you may lose quite a bit of audience.
Yeah. If people will go back and study their analytics, anyone who's in the outdoor space and creates videos and they're story talkers, you go back and you look at your analytics. If you don't have like an 80% skim through rate, then you're one of like 5% of people, because most of the skim through rate is very high. And the people, you're lucky if you get their attention for a minute and 15, like literally. Like, so if you're producing something that's 20, 30 minutes long, people are skimming through it. Like, what's the point, at that point? Yeah, you're creating something. And if you're happy with it, then great. But just do that with the knowledge of, there's not a lot of people watching it. They're skimming through it. And you said yourself, you do it. I know I do it. Oh man, I don't want to hear him talk. I want to see the deer coming in, or I want to see this, or I want to see that. I'll just go right to it, And as a creator, I'm sure that's harsh to hear, but
sure.
That's the reality of not only my videos. I can go look at my analytics and it says the same thing. I'm like, dang it, I just spent all this ridiculous amount of hours on this, and I averaged 58 seconds on this,
Yeah. Brett and I talked about that not too long ago. Not necessarily, kind of that, but the thumbnail, like catching people with the description. And we were talking about how a lot of people won't watch a video if it doesn't have the antlers, the grip and grin. So some people are like, oh, I don't want to watch somebody just, not get one or waste my time per se. When you could have missed one of, like you said, one of the best stories that you've seen, or like a to be continued. And everybody's got those hunts where it's like, you set out after one deer, you're not going to get him the first set, so it kind of rolls. But I'm guilty of that sometimes. Like, if I'm trying to get my quick fix of, a hunt or something like that. So I think with video length, a good thumbnail, and I think that's half the battle. And then as long as you have like your video, I think the videos you guys are putting out, if you can get somebody to click it, I don't see them scrolling out of it. I see
Clicking
them
off of
finishing
it.
Yeah, I see them finishing it.
Yeah, I want to create something that, like that. This episode we'll talk about is like 14 minutes long. Our goal has always been that 7, maybe 8 minutes to 10-minute mark. And that's in the past several years. That's all we've done. Well, we got to the point of creating where we're like, screw it. We're just going to create what we want to create.
Yes.
You want to watch it, great. You don't, great. Like who cares at the end of the day? So I remember vividly talking to Victor and texting our editor thread. And I'm like, guys, I'm up to like 18 minutes. I got to cut this damn thing down, And Victor just never really said anything. Yeah, just do whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he puts out his first video of this, the second half of our season leading up to deer season. It's like 19 minutes long. I'm like, dang it. You didn't even tell me you did a 19-minute edit. Like I'm over here sweating 14 minutes, but at the end of the day, create what you want. The length of what you want. And if you can make it flow and it's long and it doesn't feel like 14 minutes, and hopefully that's what my edit did for you guys when you previewed it, is that it flows and you get lost in time and it don't feel like it just don't feel like it's 14 minutes. But back to your thumbnail too, Dylan, make sure if you guys do that, just a quick tip, check out your analytics and the differences over time, because you'll notice, yes, the grip and grins do a little bit better, but also guys who don't like attach themselves, or they're not attracted to the YouTube style. If you notice, you go on YouTube, everybody's thumbnail, it's like somebody sold a preset that makes you have to glow the outline of whatever the hell you're looking at. You know what I mean? And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have never done that, and I will never do it because everybody else does it. And that's the main thing. Like, I don't want to do it because everybody else does it. And that's not to say I do a lot of stuff film-wise that everybody else does, and they're like, oh, don't do that because it's overplayed. Well, I happen to like it. So people who do those thumbnails, they may happen to like it. But just look at your analytics, and you'll see if it's effective or not. That's basically what I'm saying.
Like the video that I'm thinking about, because I couldn't really think of how to put it, was the big one that I shot last year and didn't kill. I thought, how can I put a thumbnail together for a video where I didn't kill a deer and tell my story? And that episode, I may talk to the camera maybe just a little too much, but it was capturing the moment and when what I was going through. I used a trail cam picture of the buck several days before I was able to get a shot at him, and then put me in there like hand over my head, like, oh, I done fucked up, Like I figured that seeing that picture of that deer, like, oh my god, look, that's a really nice deer, like just getting that attention out there. But I on the podcast is a little bit different because I don't think there's such a big audience for that. When it comes to the actual hunting videos, I try to focus on more of the title and the keywords more than anything, because that's what they're searching and that's what's going to come up. Like last year in particular, when we went to Missouri, Adam was able to kill a doe on camera opening day there. So I put in the title, opening day, Missouri bow season, blah, blah, blah. It hit almost 1,000 views, I think, within like the first 4 or 5 hours that I had it on there. And I think people were just searching that. Missouri is one of the first states to come in with their bow season, and I think people were just excited. And we just happened to hit a small window, and it worked out.
I think it could be interesting too on different platforms. I wonder if you guys ever jump ship to a different platform and still use YouTube, obviously, for the podcast and different things. But I know I share my videos on YouTube like 3-4 months after it's uploaded to Carbon TV. And that same YouTube video, or that same video on Carbon TV, we'll just say we'll get 50,000 views in a matter of a few months. And that same video I could post on YouTube and go back and look 2 years later, and it's got 117 views on it. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like there's a huge, the analytics on the way people find stuff, the algorithm, should I say, the way people find stuff is crazy. Like like for one video to do that well in a year's time, and then the same video on a different platform to do just like disastrously bad is just crazy, but that's the reality of it. So.
Well, with you being a marketing guy, and I don't know if I've asked anybody else on your team this question, but why the jump to Carbon TV or another platform?
Well, I know I can't I guess speak on it exactly because Victor's the one who pretty much he has the discussions with the ladies there at Carbon, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just an opportunity is what it was. Like, I think from what my memory recalls is that Victor had maybe met them at like ATA or something. And, we're not one to pass up an opportunity, rubbing elbows, with, people that we happen to have met in different parts of that outdoor industry. Will let you, open up doors for you. So,
Sure.
he, I'm sure, had met them and then send them a few links. And then they're like, hey, that your stuff's good. If you could, get X amount of episodes together, then we'll have you on the show or whatever. And then it's mutually beneficial, from a marketing standpoint for them. It's kind of brilliant because they use other content creators stuff, all their content, they make money off of it. You get a platform in which it allows you to get a lot of views, far more than YouTube will ever provide. And then you could use those numbers to try to, gain benefit, financially off of it as well, if you're able to. But they use your views along with, say, if my one video did 50,000 views. Well, if they got 150 other videos that were uploaded that week, multiply that out. They take that stuff to General Motors. Hey, look at all these views we got. This is your demographic that buys your trucks.
Yep.
Pay us. You know what I mean? And I get it. And I'm not hating on them because it's mutually beneficial. We're exclusive with them. We love the relationship that we have with them. We don't even care if a video gets 5 views or if that same video gets 100,000 views. We're not going to go take those numbers and go to some company to then we're going to be beholden to them for $1. We just have a passion for creating stuff, and that's just what we like to do. We all have full-time jobs. We all either, I don't know that we all love our jobs, but they pay the bills. But we just like creating stuff. I don't know. Even out of the outdoor space, I like creating stuff. I don't care what it is. It doesn't. I can make a video on damn near anything, if I really wanted to. So,
what about your marketing for Crimson Trail and for your videos via social media? How about do you go about doing that for yourself and your team to get the word out there or your content out there?
We used to do a more hot and heavy. We actually, a couple years ago, we did a StreamYard, and we started trying to do podcasts, but life happens. Everybody gets busy. Sure. We did have a sponsor that did pay for that. So we kind of, we did the amount of episodes we needed to do, and it just kind of fell off on it. You know what I mean? But as far as strategies go, I think everybody on the team has a little bit different strategy. I like to push mine a little bit more. I like to release reel, like the reel I made. I like to do podcasts and stuff like that leading up to it. And I like to, I like to maximize the views, me personally, but I can say that because I only personally edit, 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 episodes a year. And Victor him and Brian, they're turkey hunting fools. They go to one state and they got 6 episodes. You go to,
right.
You go to 3 states, bam, you got, you got a lot of episodes to edit. So, their time and, is more, taken up than mine is. So I could take the time to do all those extra marketing things as far as, trying to push something out there. So, it generates a little interest for people to hopefully want to watch it. So.
Oh, for sure. And when you're more of a person that somebody wants to talk to, or, they maybe loved one of the episodes you did before, they're going to come back. They're going to watch it. Yeah. They like you. They're going to want to watch your stuff. I think that happens a lot on social media when they see somebody and they're like, man, I really love that video that you and Dylan did in Tennessee, turkey hunting. I can't wait to see what you guys do deer hunting later on in the season. Like just being, I don't know what the word I'm looking for right now, but just like a people person. Being a people person can take you a long way. If you're a dick, they're not going to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As you can tell, I don't mind talking to the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a consummate businessman, dude. I ran my own business for almost 12 years and then jumped ship just a year ago. My family expanded their business, and I'm helping them out with their marketing, their radio ads, their television, commercials. I'm doing all that stuff, and I'm working in the front office helping with customers and everything. So my first job was at, not excuse me, not my first job. My first like high school job was at a Walmart, and I'm telling you what, Walmart, if you want a sponsorship, and you're listening to this, hit me up. But that place was the sole reason for my ability to talk to anybody. Like if a customer needed something and they asked me, I was going to either get it for them or find an answer for them. And that was invaluable as a teenage man, young man at the time.
Yeah.
And I've never forgotten that. And it's made me able to talk to anybody at any level at any time. So that was, I will say that. So
for sure. With my job, being a foreman the way I am, I got to talk to all the other trades. The sheet metal guys, the fitters, the general foremans. Like I got to talk. When I get home, I don't want to talk to nobody else. It's like, can you just give me like a half hour to like just sit here, drink one beer,
right?
Contemplate my thoughts for a minute because I'm tired of talking.
You're tired of putting out fires, is what you're tired of doing.
Yeah, that too for sure. Let's see. Let's touch on some hunting in Indiana. Property. What kind of property are you hunting?
Dude, I don't have like I bought our property in 2014. It literally is 5.75 acres is all I own in Indiana. I used to hunt a couple 100 acres and I lost that and I got an 80-acre piece. I'm out of Tippecanoe County, Purdue country, and now my property, actually I'm pretty blessed because I found this property that we wanted to build on in 2014 when we bought it. I found it. It wasn't even for sale. It was owned by a gentleman that was a longtime veterinarian at Purdue School of Medicine, and he was selling. He was ready to move and go somewhere south, and he had his really nice house that's several acres over here to my north, and that was on 6 acres. And then he had this property that I'm in today that I built on. He had this additional almost 6 acres to the south that's connected to his property. And I was just driving around and I'm like, man, I'm going to go back down this road. And it's a half-mile long driveway. It's how long it's back in the cut. And he comes out because he sees some random guy out there like, you lost, son, kind of deal. And I'm like, just looking for blah, blah, blah. And I was telling him my story, how just had my son and, we're looking for a place to start a family. And that guy really, really liked that aspect, that he knew that if he sold this to me, it was going to go to a good family and it was going to be, family property. You know what I mean? And he felt, I feel in my heart that he really felt good about that. And I offered him, it wasn't even on the market. I called him the next day and told him and gave him a nice, just median, not too high, not too low, a respectable offer. And he took it and we built on it like a year later. But there's some good deer. This property butts up to, it used to be a sanctuary. Now it's beginning to be, they're developing it for like a nature area, like a park. Regardless, it's freaking, people would pay a lot of money to lease this place out. This place has historically produced several 200-inch deer out of it. I've seen them myself on the walls of these people. The people, when I bought it, the guys had to remove their stands off my property, and he was kind of upset about it because he's killed several 150s, 160s right where I hunt, now today. But this little 5-6 acre chunk of land, it's just in a spot. We're the last stop on the buffet out here, and we are on the outskirts of just a 370-ish acre sanctuary is what it is. And it's a massive, with like the biggest ravines, draws, creeks. Everything you'd ever want to grow 200-inch deer, I'm butt up against. You know what I mean? So when they start to travel, they show up, you know what I mean? Like they just show. Unfortunately, I can't manage it. I just try to hold them. I try to create a habitat for them. I put a lot of money and time and planted hundreds and hundreds of trees, food plots, fruit trees, acorns for trees, like pine. I've done everything I can without digging a pond, which is next, for these deer. That's it. So just kind of, maximize the potential of where I'm at and what I was blessed with. That's all I can do. So.
Yeah, Tippecanoe County. when I first got into deer hunting, never really like popped up on my radar anywhere. I didn't really know anybody up that way, anyways. In the last couple of years, I've seen and heard of a lot of really nice deer getting killed up there, especially off the Wabash and that sort of thing on the river. There's some big deer up there.
They got hit with EHD over there last year. There was a 188-inch deer, giant, killed up over there, closer to the Purdue, the backside of the Purdue airport. And here recently, I heard like a couple weeks ago, they hit with EHD and DNR, found like 30 dead over there. So, and that place over there is just like it's heaven. So yeah, it's an up and coming county. I don't think it's as good as your county down there, or your proverbial Park or Washington, Jefferson, like those kind of counties. I don't think it's quite there, but there's definitely pockets in this county that will produce. So.
What about they just released the antlerless deer map from Indiana? Did you change at all for this coming year?
You know what's funny is when I first bought this property, I was urban zone or reduction zone, they call it now.
Right.
I could shoot 8 doe, bonus doe, 4 state doe, and 2 bucks off my property the first year. Like, who the hell needs to shoot that many deer? You know what I mean? And ever since then, the numbers just went, and I saw it even on my trail cameras, just boom, 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 year after year. Now we're 2 doe and 1 buck. That's it. I'm out of the whatever I call it, urban zone. It's still what I call it. We're out of that area. We haven't been in it since they changed it. You have to drive a little bit farther west in order to get into it. But yeah, it was great for the first few years when I could take 2 bucks. That was fun. But yeah, I mean, our doe numbers they're ridiculous. I haven't shot a doe. We shot 2 does off my property since I bought it in 2014. That's it. They're all over the place. Like there's a ton of them over here, and we just don't shoot them because that gets them bucks, and I have to have them moving like that. I mean, obviously a lot of people are like, if you shoot more doe, the bucks will move more. That's just not, that happens to not be the case where I'm specifically at. Like, I've tried it both ways, and that's just not how it happens to be for me. So we like to keep the does here because the bucks leave, but the does like to come here on me. So the more does I can get on me, the better odds I feel that I'm going to have of them bigger 5-year-olds. When they start to wander, they're going to come over and wander on me, which that's what I hope for every year. So.
Yeah, why do they need to wander off if they have everything they need right there? Where you've got it.
Well, that's the greatest question. I wish I had that answer.
Yeah. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'm running. We live on. It's probably. I mean, it spans quite a bit. Brett's seen it, so there's multiple different herd. I mean, it's over 100 acres, and it's the lake's on the backside. But even my smaller properties, my 40, my 50 acre chunks. I'll go there and I will not shoot doe. And this sounds awful, but when I'm feeding them and stuff and I see them, I'm loud. Like they don't run from the side by side. They don't you know what I'm saying? So I put that presence there because we work on our stuff year round. And for those doe, he's about a 125, 130. I walked into the field. The doe were in the field. They did not run. I sat down about 80 yards from them. They just kind of picked off, and then 15 minutes later, he comes strolling out. Because I'm always in there. I'm putting that they know that I'm not in there busting everything that I see. Now, I do have a couple properties that I will doe patrol on, is what we call it. But even then, I'm still like, man, it's a lot easier to drag a big buck than it is a doe.
Yeah, well, if I'm honest, like for the doe patrol too, I don't eat near as much venison as I used to. We used to live on it. Well, I'm kind of spoiled now, and I buy Black Angus. I'm sorry, guys. We prefer Black Angus. I know it's a sin. It's a cardinal rule against hunters. I shouldn't be eating beef, but my damn buddy he brings up some really good steer. So I love to get Black Angus. And we still eat deer. We still, do the roast. We still do tenderloins and do all the fancy stuff. Yeah. But when it comes to ground, I'm eating beef. That's just me personally, but nothing goes to waste. My father-in-law, he's got a lot of knee problems and, getting a little bit older, getting health problems. Anytime I shoot a doe or anytime I shoot a buck, if I tag one out of state, it goes to him. Cruz's buck that in the episode, we gave that to his grandpa. So it goes to the family, so
That's awesome.
it definitely, and his grandparents live off of it. So all year long, and we're happy to do it. That's what it's all about for us. You know what I mean? So
I didn't even shoot a doe last year, and because I thought, I got plenty of meat in the freezer. I know I'm gonna have an opportunity to kill a buck. That'll be my meat for the year. Well, my neighbor, he ran out. He's got 5 kids. They eat it for every meal. And I said, "Hey, come over, dude. I got a ton of burger in the deep freeze. Get as much as you want." So we start piling it out there, and I look in the bottom. I'm like, "Yeah, Adam, we just hit the bottom of my freezer. I just gave you 15 pounds, and I got about 10 left. It might be time for me to shoot a doe."
yeah.
But like you said, I like beef too. I have nothing problem. We have a meat locker right over by us. I go over there quite a bit. Just bought some pork belly and stuff over there this past weekend. I love eating other stuff too, but I feel like I eat more deer in the fall, like the roast, the chili.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
It just goes well together. College football, like
100%. Yep.
What about, and Dylan's probably way better at this conversation than I am, but food plots, in the video I saw, you and Cruz are planting some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly you're going with, and what was the mindset in choosing what you did?
We planted, that whole field was whitetail and stew, Imperial clover, and then it kind of got weedy, and we switched it up to like a chicory clover mix. And that did pretty well for some years. Man, we've tried everything. I've planted corn in it. I've planted soybeans in it. I've planted turnips, purple tops, radish. I've planted, everything you can think of in it. And I'm going to tell you what, I've had some beautiful, beautiful plots. And them deer, they would rather go pick at a picked bean field that's on the other line of the property than come into my luscious freaking green Baraska plot. Any day, all day of the week. It is what it is. For Cruz's plot in the woods, we wanted something that would grow more in some sort of light shade. So we just did that mean green. It was that Dominion seeds or whatever. Didn't grow worth a piss. That's just to be completely honest with you. I'm not happy with the product, but it didn't grow very well for us. But it was in the woods, and it's mainly rye grass as opposed to cereal rye, which is totally different. It didn't take really well, but we switched that to just a ryegrass, and then the half of the plot we switched to alfalfa and clover. And I remember the reason why I did that is because the first year I bought the property, the farmer, it's now part of the ag field in front of our house, but like 3.5 acres or so was nothing but alfalfa field because he had horses right next to us. And the deer were always in that field, just mashing the alfalfa. Just murdering it. So I planted alfalfa clover mix, and now they're killing mine. But that's what we planted for his. And honestly, it wasn't as great a success as I wanted. Cruz shot his very first little fork buck, his very first deer in the food plot. Other than that, we've never shot a deer out of any food plot I've ever grown, ever. And I've had some really nice ones. And I took soil samples, everything. Hell, I did soil sample this year. I'll grab it. I got cereal rye. I'm planting this week. So, I got this ag cereal rye. I got, where's it at? Frigid forage. I planted this in the past. Works freaking awesome. I love the radishes. In Iowa, when I hunted Iowa, this was there. Changed my life forever. So I know that. I have that, and then I got some strips of soybeans, some ag beans I'm planting in there as well. I had purple ribbon soybeans I planted before just because they were ag blend, Roundup ready. I don't know if I could go on forever for plots too. Yeah. I know. I feel you. I've planted everything that you can think of. Hell, I got 5 pounds of sweet corn seeds that I'm going to throw in there too. I'm going to put strips of it. This is the latest I've ever planted. Usually I've already got it in the ground. But I don't know if it's the palatability. I don't know what it is, but I'm attempting to plant late this year in hopes that it's still green during, the pre-rut area, because once everything starts turning, I don't even care. Like, them deer won't come in there till the season's over. When the season's over, they mow that thing down so fast it's not even funny. But during the season, forget about it. Just forget about it. That's all I can say about it.
Because you're talking gas on a fire for me, because I'm a firm believer in I stage plan everything. I don't know if you've heard the episodes of me talking about that. I'll do 3 different stages in 3 different months, and it's the same stuff, just staggered out. I want summer food. I plant early. I planted right after turkey season. Okay, so I've had that plot in, and then July we planted early July we planted another acre, and then going into the end of this month, into next month, I'm planting a whole nother acre, and staging it out. So they've had their summer forage. Now they've got their pre-fall, their whatever, and then like you said, they've got their February food.
Yes,
and I've never really had luck until this past probably 2 years with the food plot stuff, like seeing them in there. And what I've done is I've not put food plots where I want to shoot the deer. I'm putting food plots where I'm seeing the deer. If that makes sense. So pinch points and moving stuff. So like I took the Bobcat and we cleared back 30 yards of woods, and then we diffed it up, and we're manipulating our bedding areas. I made 15 acres of strictly bedding that we don't go in. And I found those pinch points, both sides of those pinch points. I'm throwing food plots where they're already in, and I'm seeing, I had clover that was, it was waist high. And there was beds everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Everywhere in it. My iron clay peas, they have, like, it's dirt in places because I drove up and a mama had their baby down in there.
Yeah.
So it's like they're already finding it and using it. So I think you're going to have great success with the stage planning like that.
Yeah. Do you construct your plots? Like, would you say they're on the pinch on the outside of the beddings? Do you make them hourglass? Do you make them specific shapes, or do you just square them, circle them? Do you contour?
I watched a clip of a guy, and he was saying instead of doing one big field, make a bunch of little fields.
Yeah.
And that got my mind going. So what we do is I'll do a 40 by 40 yard of iron clay peas, and then I'll run 10 foot of corn around that, and then I'll do the purple top, and then I'll do corn around that, and we'll almost like make a maze to where they can't be on the top of the field or standing in bedding and see it. They have to physically come into it. So
they got to walk through it. Hell yeah. Yep.
Yep. And then even then it's still segmented up to where they're zigging. My corn's my corn's doing good considering it's waist high. But I've had, shout out Deer Creek Seed. They sent me some stuff and it grew with no rain. 100% grew with no rain. You can ask Brett. I was checking it every day.
That's crazy.
I did spray some water on it, but for the first 2 weeks we had no rain, just the dew, I guess, from overnight, and it's thriving.
Wow.
So yeah, shout out to them because they've got one heck of a product, and it's paying off right now. They're definitely holding in it. And we'll see, with the stage planning. Like I said, I'm relatively new to it, but last year they were definitely in there.
Yeah. I'm curious just to how it all plays out together. Like, I want to touch again, and maybe we can have John back on after deer season. I want to touch on your guys' food plots after the season, because Dylan, your ag is a million times different than ours here.
Yeah.
We're all nothing but ag, and we got woods here and there and that kind of stuff and wide open. You don't really have that ag. You're the one putting the ag.
Yeah, I'm the only ag around here.
So I can imagine that could attract a little bit more than what, like he said, he made the most luscious thing you can see and hardly killed anything in it because he's got a 800-acre cornfield behind it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that's the difference in where we are at in the country, which is pretty intriguing to me. I would love to know, how all that plays out throughout your season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and last year I had one of the best cornfields, in my opinion, around, and the acorns started dropping. You couldn't pay them to come to the corn, but luckily, where we put our food plots on both sides is 5 big oak trees, like right in the center of their pinch point. So like I'm just trying to manipulate because in my opinion, where the best stand or the best spot is on my place is not where I'm hunting. In my head, what I envision or what I think is a whole different field, a whole different corner. but just year in and year out watching these deer and seeing how they travel, they're staying on the highest point. That way they have two get outs. And I've just learned I can't pull them no matter what I do. I can pull them down, but they're not going to reroute, potentially how they've always done it here. So I'm learning myself to just move to where the deer are and stay, me and my buddy was talking about it. He was like, man, you need to stand right on the corner of the field. And I was like, I don't. I was like, I need it to be 15 yards in that wood line. I was like, because you're going to get out here and you're going to be wide open. You're going to be exposed, and then you can't see that thicket. When you're in there, you can see that thicket in both fields. So it's like I'm just picking it and trying to manipulate and have the best hand. That way I've got the upper hand when they come cruising through. So, but like you guys do have just ag, and we have hay fields. I mean, you'll see some big hay fields here, but other than that, I think I'm the only one doing any actual planting just for the deer.
I think I struggle in Kentucky, down at the Kentucky property with acorns more than I do in Indiana because we have so much ag here. Where in Kentucky, we do have some ag, but we're getting into big, I call them Kentucky mountains. It's like 480-foot elevation change down there. We're not on the east side, we're on the west side.
Okay.
And northwest side. But man, when them acorns fall early season, that's why I still don't have a velvet on the wall. I mean, that's hard hunting when early September when them acorns fall.
Yep.
Forget about it.
That's where they're going to be.
Yep.
So let's move forward a little bit. How has your hunting changed, and how has your life changed hunting with your son Cruz?
Oh,
man, love the question.
I've never been asked that question. That's a good question. For me, I guess it's just more of a passing, on, because to be honest, I didn't grow up with a dad. So I haven't seen my dad since I was 15 or 13 years old, something like that. And he was never really in my life. So I never really had that portion of my life. So everything that I do, I want my son kind of to be excited about, you know what I mean? And he already is, just automatically anyway. So it's just feeding that in him feeds my passion, but it's also fueling his, what I mean? Sure. He really gets into it, really enjoys it. I think he's more of a deer hunter than he is a turkey hunter, because like he could care less about shooting an Eastern. He's got 4 or 5 of them now, and he's like, he don't even want to. I mean, they're strutting in the backyard. I could shoot them off my deck. They're not hard, they're easy meat for me. But he wants to go to like South Dakota or something. He wants to get a Merriam. He wants to do a slam. So at some point, we're probably going to do that. Maybe when he gets a little bit older, we're going to do some road tripping and do that just to keep that passion. But as far as, changing my life with him, I mean, this whole thing, obviously just having this conversation with you, I mean, hunting has just changed my life to where I just meet new people, friends within the industry, start, new adventures. I mean, when, you guys as kids grow, who knows, maybe we'll hook up and we'll have a youth hunt. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, I know if you grew up in it, everybody wants to pass it down. For me, it kind of starts, with Cruz. He's the 4th generation and I'm the 3rd, you know what I mean? So it's all like, after him, he's got to pass or it's done. You know what I mean? Or it's over, he's the only child. So if he doesn't pass that torch on, then it's done. So that's the end of that story. So
that's awesome. That slam might be kind of hard to do if he's hard into baseball like he is.
Yeah. I don't even talk about baseball. Oh man, that's
You're probably ready for that to be.
Yeah, I'm a basketball guy, so so baseball's fun, but basketball's my sport. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Cruz's Plot. Comes out Friday, Carbon TV on the Crimson Trail channel. There's so much that goes into a video. Where did you even think of to start, like to putting it all together? Where did you come up with it in your mind? Like, all right, I'm gonna start like this because I love the intro to this. I'm not getting the intro. Away, the intro's badass.
So hell yeah. I have my buddy Josh filmed that. I scripted it. I knew the shots that I wanted to have. He actually went to Purdue for videography, and he did a lot of work for Purdue football. And, he was up high. He was a guy on camera up high filming the shots, down and cutaways and all that good stuff. Good friend of mine. and lives right down the road. So anytime I have something, he's just like, hey, can you help me out with this? This is what I need. And I don't even have to, I just tell him what I need and it's done. You know what I mean? Like he knows what he's doing. So basically the opener, I didn't get the opener until after the season because I didn't really know how I knew because Cruz wanted to learn how to do plot work and stuff. So we did all of our plot work and I filmed all that and I wanted him to be a part of that. Well, from obviously bingo right there, Cruz's plot. He decided he wanted something in the woods. He was tired of sitting on the ground in a blind. He wanted to be elevated. And at the time, he had never been in a stand. So we're like, well, let's build an elevated platform and then let's get a blind so he can get some height. And at some point, he sorry, he's coming in. Come here, Cruz.
Yeah.
Say what's up to the fellas real quick.
What's up, buddy?
Man, this is Mr. Brett and this is Mr. Dylan. He just got back from vacation Bible school.
That's awesome, man. We're talking about your video.
Yep. We've been talking, we haven't even breaking down your video yet. Well, go brush your teeth. I'm sure your mom's gonna want you to go to bed. All right. Love you. Cameo, that's the superstar. Awesome. So at any rate, we helped him, learn how to do food plot. He spreads the seed, teach him all that kind of stuff. And so right then we're like, well, goal's automatically going to be, let's get a deer in the plot, whether it be in the woods or the adjacent plot is just like a 25, 30-yard bow shot, or he can shoot all the way across it at like 110 yards or something like that. I can't remember, like caddy corner. Anyway, he can shoot in either of them. So we're like, at some point, we're going to get a deer, in Cruz's plot. And so we set trail cameras up and, in the video I show you, and it's, he's got some good 3.5-year-olds, which for him, you get a mid 130s 3.5-year-old. That's a good deer for damn near anybody, let alone a, 10-year-old at the time.
Right.
So, but as far as the intro goes, I wanted to, I guess I kind of wanted to convey, a message when it comes to that. And more alluding to the work that it takes, when you're food plotting, whatever you're hunting, whatever you're doing, if you're really just real deep into it, like, you and I and Dylan get, I really wanted to convey that, like, and show the work. So after we showed the food plotting work, I'm like, well, how do I intro that? So I wanted to go in the winter and almost film it as a way to retrospectively think, like, some of the shots as people will see, you'll see me kind of moving the snow and checking out the clover and just kind of, retrospectively just thinking, like, did this work? Did this not work? What happened? How can I show that? Or how can I show that on film to lead the person into what they're about to see go down? So it kind of, and then of course, you do a slow pan, fade out from me looking at the blind in the woods, and then it kind of goes into all the food plot work. I don't know if I explained that well. You could probably watch it and understand it more than what I can talk about it.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to explain for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, shot wise, I knew that in order to make that story work, I didn't just want to jump into food plot because I've done that. You know what I mean? I wanted to, how can I convey that story of Cruz's food plot? Oh, well, I could say, it's almost like a, what's it called? Gosh dang, I can't think of the word.
Like a flashback almost?
Yeah, it's the opposite, a foreshadowing.
Yeah,
there you go. Foreshadowing is what it was. It's all like you watch that first and it's foreshadowing to show you, oh, this guy's in a plot or this guy's in this specific area. And then you see that specific area being built with plots and whatnot. So hopefully that kind of came across. Say, this is where it all happened. This is what it took to make that happen. And here's it happening. You know what I mean? So,
no, for sure. And not to get ahead of myself, but my next kind of question is, you go through the building of it, and then a few other things happen throughout the season. You said he was 10 years old at the time. Catching that storyline of him having to overcome several different things throughout his season, to finally getting an opportunity later on opening day at gun. Talk about him trying to overcome that being a young child.
Yeah. He learned the hard way, turkey hunting, I think, prior to deer hunting, because turkey hunting, he wasn't comfortable with his gun. He had a 20 gauge when he was
Right.
But it's cool to talk about nonetheless. But we go over there, and there's just blood on both sides. The deer was pumping. He was pumping. He laid down. He bedded 3 times, bedded right next to log, huge piles of blood. Then he clotted up.
Oh, man.
He clotted up. He went down the big ravine, down the ridge. Think he headed towards the creek where I couldn't get permission to look for him. Never found the deer. Big one. A big one. So not only did he miss 2 he hit a really nice deer. Hit it. Probably would have been one of the better deer shot from here, period. Never found it. So not only did he have to overcome those 2 misses, but he overcame that scenario. And in the film, you're going to hear me say something along the lines of, we let the woods set or whatever, and then gun season was going to open up. That was the actual portion in which that occurred. He shot the deer.
Wow.
We didn't have permission. We tried everything we could to get that deer back. Couldn't get it. And I still think that deer died over there in the creek somewhere. I still think you could probably go find a skull somewhere. You know what I mean? I really did. Somebody mushroom hunting probably found it. But at any rate, he went through all that, and then opening day, rest is history. Opening day gun.
So you're the second person in a row I've had on from Indiana. Dylan's coming up for opening weekend of firearms here in Indiana. Can you explain to him what that feeling's like here in Indiana?
It's like some states. It's not. I've been in Missouri on an opening rifle, Kentucky opening rifle. I've been in Illinois for their gun, and I've been in Iowa for their gun too. And I'm gonna tell you what. Out of all those states I mentioned, believe it or not, Brett, Indiana's the least of your worries out of all those states.
Really?
Believe it or not, which is crazy. But in Indiana, it sounds like freaking 4th of July. But I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's people shooting all over the place. But them other states, we always had a problem with Kentucky. 5 days leading up to gun, you're there rut hunting, with a bow, and there's people bust just boom, boom. They're shooting deer. The last legal, they're shooting deer with guns all day long. They live by a different set of rules down there.
Yeah, they do.
But Missouri, it was party hunters. Party hunters ruined everybody's hunt, pushing all damn deer out of the place. Iowa's the same thing. We had illegal road hunters pushing deer, kicking stuff all over the place. But I mean, not near as many gunshots. But in Indiana, it's like anything else. Opening season, for gun anywhere, it's like tradition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just all there is to it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It got me pumped up here. I'm excited for that to come out Friday. I know for myself, I do a lot with my I got 2 little girls, so we done something similar. I had her out there. Gosh, she was out. She was on the tractor. She ran the Bobcat, and she threw the seed too. So she has to go up there and she checks her food plot. So to see that, I could relate to it because there's so many conversations and so many laughs and so many memories that video will trigger for so many people.
Oh yeah.
Especially older people that maybe not hunt, they don't hunt anymore, but they're like, dang, we used to do this. And I think that one's going to be a hit, man.
Yeah. I've been to a lot of film festivals, and the ones that are hitters are the ones that are like heartstring tuggers. And this episode is definitely would be one of those situations for sure.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there any... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It like you talked about earlier, it kind of gets people intrigued. So like, this is what Cruz done last year. What's he up to this year?
Right.
So it's building, something that everybody's going to want to tune back in to see how, what he's changed or what he's done. And so I'm invested. So.
Yeah. Cruz has been he's been one of the top producers of any episode wise, because he's a ham. You Victor always says, do not take the mic off that kid. He's just gold when he talks. He's had a camera in his face his whole life. He's not shy of the camera whatsoever. One of our big family values is be a leader, and he's a leader. He's a leader even at say baseball. Every time we have baseball, I don't care. He played up to 2 grade levels this last year, and now he's going back to where he wants to be. But regardless, he does a year lower his grade year and then the grade up, and he's the one who always runs the practices during warm-ups and whatnot. He's calling cadence. He's telling the guys that are 2 years older than him what needs to be going on. You know what I mean? So he's a leader. He's got it in him.
That was actually one of the things I had written down on him, how he was so well versed when he was talking with the microphone. You couldn't tell that he was 10 years old. He was and he when he finally gets it done, he's like, I can't even put this into words. I'm just so blessed. And it's just most kids would just be smiling and so nervous at the camera. He's like, man, I just got it done.
He's
jacked up.
You don't have to coach him. You don't have to, like, he knows, that's just who he is. Like, he just
Yeah.
keep a mic on him, make sure that you hit that record button and don't double tap it because you just never know. That's it.
So let it roll.
Yep. So
What about like inspirations? Is there anybody or anything that you like to you based your filming off of or tried to be like? Or, I wouldn't necessarily say. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, like some people that I that inspire me and their styles, or I like Jason Matzinger. Anybody who's ever been to a Full Draw Film Fest has probably saw one of his, any Badlands film festivals has seen his stuff. I mean, just Google him on YouTube is just phenomenal. His storytelling ability, second to none. Who else I like? I really like Clay Newcomb. He's part of the Meat Eater crew. If you ever watch, like, he's big on the Bear Hunter, Bear Hunting Journal and whatnot. He's been telling stories for decades, and it shows. Here recently, I really liked Brent Reeves. He does an awesome podcast as well. Meat Eater guy. He tells stories on his pod. Like, people write in, and then he'll tell it in only the way he can speak it. But he's written several books and whatnot, and really to next level my stuff up, I like to listen to guys like that because I don't necessarily watch how they film stuff. I do when it comes to like Jason, but like Brent Reeves or Clay Newcomb, I listen to how they deliver the story, how they use the word. Video is just like an accent to the words, in the way that they like to produce. I like to be more video heavy, but I do like to be able to listen to guys like that I can be like, man, it makes me want to write books. And I first admit, I hate reading books.
Me too.
Hated it in high school, hate it now as an adult. Okay. But I'm at the point in my life to where I feel like I could write one. I probably wouldn't do well. My wife's an English teacher, so she would definitely help me out with that. And it'd probably be her book because it would be so many grammatical errors in it when it'd be funny. But at any rate, I really like the way Brent Reeves can paint a story with words. Now, if you can combine that with the visuals of like something like cinematography, something documentary kind of style, kind of mix with the way he delivers words and intertwine those, that's kind of how I want to develop my style more into. Like, my goals is I do not want to talk to the camera. Like, if I'm filming me, you won't hear me tell you where I'm at or whatever, the normal stuff, like the temperature, the blah, 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 blah. If I'm going to Iowa or whatever, oh, I'm on the road to Iowa, I'll do that. But I won't tell you, like, I won't do a on stand interview ever. I'll just film me and use B-roll. I won't ever say anything. And like I told you at the beginning, that's just kind of how I like to do it, because anytime I watch a movie, they don't tell me any of that stuff. I have to infer that. And that's what I want to be able to do. I want you to be able to infer where I'm at, what's going on. If you're a hunter, you know what the hell's going on. You know what the rut feels like. You know what all that stuff. Obviously, different areas of the country are a little bit different. But if you need to say it, guys like Brent Reeves, especially here recently, I just love the way he talks and tells stories. Like, if you have a chance, and if you don't listen to him on any like podcast services or streaming services, he may inspire you guys as far as how you would like to talk and develop as well, because that guy, he can freaking tell a story with audio. It's unbelievable. So that, anyway, super long-winded.
No, you're fine.
Those are the three main people that inspire how I like to create. So
we were talking the other day, messaging back and forth, and you said, we were talking about, just editing in general, and you said most of the stuff that just gets recorded behind that camera, it's not all that great. You got to tinker with it a little bit. Yeah. So what's a little bit, some secrets you can throw down?
Me and Victor and Brian, our main editors, have audio, and I'm sure in your podcast I listen to with those guys too, audio is definitely king. You can take a pretty B-roll clip and add any audio to it. I really don't have any like secrets when it comes to that. But I can tell you, like, for instance, in Cruz's film, you guys, previewed it. It has 27 sound effects in it. It has 6 tracks in it, and it has 7 different ambient noises in it. And most of the time, people don't even realize that what goes into that. Some of those sounds that I added are actually, for instance, what was the sound that I had to? Oh, okay. Like during the food plot work, you'll see like seeds being thrown and stuff. And some portions of those are added sound effects of actually seeds hitting the ground. In other portions, it was a different seed. So I found a sound of water hitting a metal roof, slowed it down, cut it, and then sped up other sections and bonded them together to create the sound that I wanted. So
awesome.
yeah, and you would never even notice that, like
Right.
ever. You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
didn't
And
notice
there's
that.
different sounds, like there's a couple other sounds in the snow, like walking in that was not me walking in the snow. That was a potato chip bag that I slowed down and paced to the cadence of my footsteps
That's
Wow.
pretty next level,
to
but
get it to sound like walking on snow. Now, there are ways you can just Google, walking in snow sound effects. And yeah, you can find some. But like I say, I only had this one major edit and I just wanted to just dive deep into it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, in order to get to that next level, that's what it takes. You know what I mean? As a creator. And if you're pumping out 20 episodes, don't do it. Like if you're just YouTubing it, I mean, do it. It'll help. It only make you better. So I just don't not do it, but don't do it with the mind of I'm doing this for views, because we're not doing it for views. We're not doing it for money. We're not doing it. We're doing it because we have a passion for it. And it's something I freaking love to do.
Right.
And I want to get better and better and better and better at it. So every clip on there too, every single one of those is color corrected. Like I
Yeah.
don't put anything straight off the camera. Everything is color corrected and everything is true to color, or the color that I want it to look like.
Yep.
So like I literally, it's insane. Victor's actually the one who got me into color correcting, and I started correcting, then I started grading specific stuff, and there's a difference between correcting and grading, but that's for another day. But yeah, there's a lot that goes in specifically into Cruz's edit that people won't even realize. They'd have to watch it. Like you could probably watch it back, dude. Like even on the food plot work, when I put on gloves, that wasn't all. I made that sound. You know what I mean? Like that stuff, just
Yeah.
little nuances like that really put you into the story. And if you're watching like any movies on whatever, I'll go pop on a Netflix. Start paying attention to those little things. If you see a guy flying, he's got a drone, he's driving a car. You hear a car, you're flying a drone. There's no audio of that. Some sound design guy put that audio, the road noise, the wind noise, if he's on a bridge, the water, whatever. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
sound design guy looked at that clip and was all like, well, we need this sound. We need this sound. I wrote down, we need this sound. And that's what I do. You know what I mean? The same thing.
That's
Like
awesome.
it's deep. I could talk about that forever.
How do you like if you do put any kind of tracks in there or music or that sort of thing, how do you choose or pick? How do you go through picking something like that?
I don't. It's all feel for me. I want you to have a visceral, emotional response to it. Like some edits, I put like suspenseful stuff in there. Some edits, I'll put more of an upbeat, or a lot of times it all depends on the person or the feeling I want you to convey. I did an episode with my brother-in-law. We always go to Illinois. We're going again this year. And he loves like he loves fish and goose. He loves funk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
loves funk. So all his tracks, that was his vibe. That was his vibe, feel good vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I
Yeah.
wanted that because that's who he is as a person. You know what I mean? I wanted
Mhm.
that to convey. So sometimes I go off the subject. Sometimes I go off of, whatever the story may be, however I need to convey it. But it just all varies. I really have no one set standard. I try to make every episode different from the last one in some shape or fashion.
That's awesome, man. What about software? What kind of software do you edit with?
I just run, dude, right now, even on this, I have an old 2017 MacBook Pro. Nothing fancy. I use Final Cut Pro X. I've gotten pretty proficient at it. I just don't want to pay for Adobe. I'm a tightwad, so I don't run Adobe. I like to buy something and own it, and
Right.
that's just me, So
That's awesome. Anything else you want to touch on when it comes to Cruz's video?
not really. I just hope people enjoy it. I hope they take it for what it is and really like. I mean, I'm obviously biased, but if you watch it back a few times, then you can, and then if you've listened to this far, then you know that, hey, maybe he can start catching some of that stuff. And if you're trying to grow and learn as a creator or somebody in the outdoor space, and you start picking up those little nuances, then they'll definitely be in that episode, and then maybe you'll start listening for those or looking for things like that to help better your own content and your own creations. So.
I love it, man. Even me. I'm like you said. I'm in a certain space myself, and just listening to some of these things you do, I'm going to be taking all that to the bank. And
Hell yeah, yeah.
I want to be more of a storyteller on my
Yeah.
videos and not be much of a talker.
Yeah, I know. I need to copyright that, dude, and get a T-shirt.
Right.
T-shirt.
2024 season. What do you got lined up, and what's some goals you got?
So, big in right now. Big into trad. Kind of made the switch this year to trad, putting down the compound, putting down the crossbow, the gun, going trad heavy. I've got enough nice deer to where I literally have no wall space. So I need to be very particular in what I harvest. So going trad, obviously home front in Indiana. Cruz is number 1. I'm number 2, always. And then we have 71.7 acres in Kentucky, family farm, and usually have good deer down there. Last year it sucked. Year before that, the neighbor shot all 3 of my shooters, so maybe that's why this last year sucked. Going down this weekend to set cams, get Cruz ready for the youth opener, which is like middle of October, which is weird. I'm gonna miss the velvet opener, first velvet opener I've missed. Wife and I got a concert, so we're gonna go to that and have Luke Bryant Habershake it for me. You know how that goes.
Well, they pushed the season back, right? Compared to what it normally was.
Yeah, it's like the 7th or 9th. But so we're going to Kentucky. Basically, my road trip, it goes like this. Indiana here is Cruz until he tags out. Kentucky, he's going down for youth in October. He's probably going to go down for crossbow once in September. I won't hunt. It'll be all his hunts. And then come November, previous to me, I like I say, I owned my own company for 12 years. I used to hunt for like minimum of 4 states, 35 to 40 days a year, like in a row. Like I took it off all of November and the end of October every year for the last decade, So it's going to be a drastic change for me this year, especially not being able to do that. So I got to kind of squeeze a lot into a smaller amount of time. So we're going to travel to Kentucky for the gun opener. I'll probably be there on Thursday to bow hunt Thursday, Friday before the gun opener. I think the gun opener is like on the 9th this year. So of November. It's early. I think it's the earliest I can remember it being in Kentucky. So I'm going to bow hunt 2 days before then, hunt the gun opener. And then that Sunday, gun opener weekend, which should be like the 10th, I'm driving to Illinois. We always go to Illinois Backwoods Outfitters. Got an episode of that. Actually got 3 episodes from there. I filmed my brother kill a couple good bucks there. I killed a nice buck there, 140. Almost got a 160 plus down, but just guy wouldn't never seal the deal, come to me. But anyway, going back there from the 10th, all the way to our gun opener, which is the 16th or 17th. I can't remember the date of it is, but I probably won't even really have hunted my property for the entire rut, believe it or not, until the gun opener. So it's going to set until then. Now I might invite like a friend over or something if I want to film them, but I personally won't hunt it until the gun opener, unless my son obviously hasn't got a deer, then he's first and foremost. But yeah, so we're going to do the little 3-state tour, Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois. That's
awesome.
about it this year. I mean, that's a lot for one person, but I'll take it. You know.
Don't you have like didn't you build like a deal down in Kentucky where you can stay and everything?
Yeah, we got a cabin down there. We call it the Taj Mahal. It's really a little shit box, to be honest with you, but I mean, it does the job. You know, it's 16 by 12. It's all solar powered, off grid. We expanded. We put another 12 by 16 porch on it that we're trying to enclose. We put a shower in it instead of washing off in buckets and stuff, and like, but now we got a stand up shower in it and a kitchen and all. I mean, it's rugged. I mean, the women, wife don't ever want to go down there because it's not, lap of luxury down there. So it's roughing it. But I mean, it's a dude deer camp. You know what I mean? That's part of it. So
That's
yeah, we
awesome.
built that, and I can't even remember what year. We've had it now for 7 years, I think, down there at the cabin down there. So before that, obviously, it was sleeping in your truck or in a tent kind of deal. But yeah, once we built that and got solar power and everything on there, it's been a lot nicer.
Oh, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, buddy, it's been a pleasure having you on. I'm glad you hit me up to do an episode. Sounds like I'm going to have to get Brian Winslow on at some point now just to complete the whole team, I guess.
Yep. Shout out to Wally. Yep.
But definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us and talk your episode and everything you guys got going on in your season and stuff. I appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. This has been fun, and hope that one day we guys can share a deer camp or turkey camp. I know you go up north there with the Michigan boys and all that. And last year I really wanted to make it, but I couldn't. Mother's Day, you guys got to change that weekend.
Hey, I get away with it. You just gotta put the Mother's Day like a week ahead of time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I need to figure that out. My wife's always got Mother's Day. We always go camping or something. You know what I mean? So I can't get away. So.
That is a tough weekend to do that. I'm fortunate enough my wife lets me kind of get away with that stuff, and I take her and do stuff the week before. But
oh yeah,
it's definitely a lot of fun with those guys. Hopefully you get up there and get to hang out with us.
Oh, I do. I wouldn't care if I shot one. I would film the shit.
I could have used the camera man this
year. Yeah. Well, I would get you some killer stuff. I guarantee that.
That's awesome. But tell everybody where they can find you and Crimson Trail and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, Crimson Trail, Facebook, Instagram, on Carbon TV, YouTube, all that good stuff. I have a Foxtail Media page on Instagram. I think it's Foxtail_3. I think might be what it is, or _media. Hell, I don't know. I post like photography on there pretty much. That's it.
Right.
Instagram would be, and I do that very rarely, to be honest with you. Most of the time it's Facebook for me. You can just look me up or try to add a friend request or whatever. Usually if you're into hunting and that kind of stuff, then we got something in common. So
that's awesome. Well, we'll be back here again next week for episode 88. Go give us a like and subscribe on YouTube or subscription on any of your podcast platforms. But we'll be back again next week. See ya.